Deep in the Whisperwood lived a lonely child who loved exploring. One day they found a big, beautiful leaf, but it was no ordinary leaf. When the child thought about their best friend, the leaf glowed with a soft light, swirling into the shape of a worried face. When they thought about their adventures, the leaf shimmered with excitement, fizzing and popping like fireworks. And when they thought about how much they loved their pet lizard, Sparky, the leaf bloomed into a bed of butterflies. The child soon realized this leaf could translate their thoughts into glowing symbols. And while this was wonderful fun, it also came with a big responsibility. The child had to be very careful what they thought about, because everything they thought about would affect everyone around them. If they thought scary thoughts, the whole forest would become dark and dangerous. If they thought happy thoughts, the whole forest would become sunny and safe. The child didn't know how this was possible, but they knew they needed to use their power wisely. As the seasons passed, the child grew older, wiser, and more powerful. They learned to control their thoughts so precisely that the entire forest thrived under their care. Animals returned to live in the Whisperwood. Flowers bloomed in every color imaginable, and even the trees sang with joy. The child wasn't lonely anymore, and that made them very, very happy. But one crisp autumn day, a villain entered the Whisperwood. They were grumpy and miserable and determined to make everyone else feel the same way. As they walked, their negative thoughts spread like wildfire, turning flowers to ash and animals to stone. And when the villain approached the magical leaf, they had a terrible idea. If they could steal the leaf and turn everyone's thoughts dark, then maybe they could finally feel something other than misery. Maybe if everyone was as sad and lonely as they were, then they wouldn't feel so alone. The child sensed the villain's dark thoughts and became very frightened. But before they could hide the leaf, it was too late. The villain grabbed it and squeezed it in their hand. At first, nothing happened. The villain frowned, confused, but then a wicked smile spread across their face. Oh, they thought, so this leaf only works when you're happy. Then they just have to make everyone unhappy. With a wave of their magic, the villain summoned a dark cloud that blotted out the sun and cast long shadows across the forest floor. The animals huddled together, whimpering, scared and cold. The flowers wilted, drooping with misery. And when the villain looked at the magical leaf, it was filled with swirling shades of gray. The child wanted to help, but what could they do? They couldn't let the villain destroy the Whisperwood, but they also couldn't fight them directly. So instead, the child had an idea. They took a deep breath and focused all their energy on one thing, being as happy as they possibly could. The child thought about playing with Sparky, taking long walks in the sunshine, and all their best friends waving to them from their treehouse. And the happier they became, the brighter the world around them grew. The dark clouds parted, revealing a brilliant blue sky full of fluffy white clouds. The flowers lifted their heads, petals unfurling in the warm sunlight. The animals shook off their fears and scampered up trees. And as the villain watched, the magical leaf glowed brighter and brighter until it was almost blinding. "What?" the villain cried out, shielding their eyes. "How is this possible? I'm supposed to be making everyone unhappy, not happy." But the child was too busy helping the forest recover. They didn't have time to answer. Instead, they raced through the trees, calling for everyone to come see what was happening. When everyone gathered around, the child told them to close their eyes and make a wish. The magical leaf was making all their wishes come true. The animals wished for more food and cozy dens. The flowers wished for warm soil and sparkling dewdrops. And the children wished for swings in every color and slides made of pure sunshine. And as each wish was granted, the magical leaf grew brighter and brighter until it was a huge ball of pure white light. Then suddenly, "Gotcha!" boomed a familiar voice. The villain had taken the chance to sneak up on the child. Now they had the magical leaf in their hands again, and they were squeezing it tight. "I won't let you ruin everything," the child said, racing forward. But the villain raised their hand, stopping them in their tracks. "You're too late," they said, a wicked grin spreading across their face. "I'm going to turn all of your happy thoughts to dust." But just as they were about to crush the leaf, the child had an idea. They reached out and grabbed a handful of dirt. Then with all their strength, they flung it into the air. The dirt flew like shrapnel, hitting the villain and covering them head to toe. Then the child yelled, "Everyone, now!" Together they stomped their feet, clapped their hands, and threw their arms in the air. "Make a wish." The villain looked down, confused. What were they doing? But before they could react, the dirt around them began to glow. Warm golden light spilled out, wrapping around the villain and pushing them back. "What?" the villain cried out. Why was the dirt glowing? Why were their hands on fire? Why was their hair turning into a bird's nest? Why was their face covered in leaves? The child smiled. They had an idea. The light was growing stronger and stronger until it enveloped the entire forest, filling it with warmth and happiness. Then the child took a deep breath and whispered, "Shield." In response, the light formed a perfect dome over the forest, blocking out the darkness and protecting the magical leaf inside. And as the light grew, the forest flourished. Animals played happily, flowers bloomed in every color, and the trees rustled with laughter. The child had never felt so powerful, so joyful, so loved, and neither had anyone else. No one could remember a time when they'd been this happy, this free. But as quickly as it started, the party ended. The villain broke through the light, their eyes blazing with anger. "I don't care if you're happy," they shouted. "I'm gonna crush you." But before they could take a step, the light wrapped around them, pulling them back. "No," the villain cried out. "Please stop. Please make it stop." The child knew exactly what to do. "Everyone," they called, their voice ringing with power. "Stop being happy." Instantly, the forest went quiet. The animals froze mid-play. The flowers drooped their heads and the trees stopped rustling. Then the light faded and the dome disappeared. The villains stumbled out, weak and trembling. All their powers had been sealed away inside the magical leaf. They slumped to the ground, defeated, and the forest was silent for a moment. Everyone was confused. Why did the child ask them to stop being happy? But then it hit them. The child had used their own happiness to keep everyone else happy. If they weren't careful, this power could destroy the entire forest. So they'd protected everyone by giving up their own joy. The child sat down next to the villain, who was still whimpering, and said, "Don't worry. I'm sure you'll find something to smile about soon." Then they turned to the rest of the forest and said, "Thank you for listening to me. I promise I'll find a way to bring back the sunshine soon." The animals nodded, understanding, and the flowers perked up at the thought of sunshine. Suddenly, the magical leaf began to glow faintly. The child picked it up and cradled it close. It was tired. All its energy had been used up. The child knew it needed rest, so they tucked it under their shirt and hummed a little song. The leaf glowed brighter and brighter until it was humming along too. Then slowly the symbols faded away. The leaf was asleep, and the child knew it would be a long time before it woke up. In the meantime, they'd have to be extra careful about their thoughts. After all, everything they thought about affected everyone around them. A small price to pay for protecting all their friends. The end.